or mixtures, then this confidential knowledge will not be revealed, despite it being there in the Bhagavad Gita. So I see you don't have a copy of Bhagavad Gita with you. I would strongly encourage you taking one if you don't have one at home. But for those, you can pull out your phone if you want. You can go to a site called vedabase.io and read with me from there. So when you go to vedabase.io, on the home page you will see top left something called Bhagavad Gita as it is. When you click on that, you can go to chapter 9. I'll do a quick recap of what was done before last week, and then from there we'll proceed on to the... Does everybody have that open? Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, we would be looking back at the verse 26. So when you go Bhagavad Gita down chapter 9, verses 26. This is a very important verse, and we'll do a discussion here if everybody is okay with that, right? Nobody's shy in talking. Okay. We'll do discussion, right? Just so that we understand things, because this is important. Everybody has the verse open, 26. Is anybody good with reciting the Sanskrit? Want to try? Okay. Let me do the first one, okay? This 26. This is Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo me bhakta pranashyati tad aham bhakte uparatam asnani prachatmana. The translation has been given very beautifully by Srila Prabhupada. It says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So when we see, in different places we are offering something to Krishna, or when we're doing arati, we offer different paraphernalia to him. Even we offer him food items. And there's a very common question that might arise in our mind is, why do we do that? Does anybody have that question? Or everybody is absolutely convinced of what's happening? Anybody having a doubt of why do we do this? The answer is right here in this verse. Right? Krishna is saying that when you're offering such a thing with love and devotion to me, then I accept it. So that solves one half of the question for us, but we'll look at the next verse, and when we start talking about that in detail, then it's going to get even more clear. But the aspect that we are putting a plate with nice foodstuffs in front of the Lord does not mean it's just kept over there and it's a symbolic representation. Krishna is saying, I accept it. Now one might question, I've kept an apple in front of Krishna and you're saying he accepts it, but the apple remains as is. Does anybody have an answer to that? Yes. It's the love and devotion and not the apple. Right. So Krishna is complete, Purna, in all sense. He does not need anything from us. But he's giving us an opportunity for us to get engaged in some ways with him in loving relationship. When we give somebody a gift, that is a representation of love. When we cooks for somebody with love, that's a representation of love. Krishna does not want anything from us. He's the source of everything. Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Right? So he's the source of everything. He does not need anything from us. He's the one who's actually providing us. But he still says, I accept from you. It is very similar to how when we were small kids, right? Let's talk from that perspective. When we were small kids, and it was our parents' birthday, the fathers or the mothers, right? We'll be excited about it. We want to show something out of love. We will take a piece of paper and scribble out something which we think is the best art ever, but in the relationship terms, we know how it is. And then we go, if it is the father's birthday, then we'll probably run to the mother, or if it is the mother's birthday, we'll run to the father and ask for some money so that we can go and buy some gift. So we take the money from the parents and we gift it to them, and sometimes those gifts does not even make sense. But that aspect of love is there. The parent will have always lovingly accepted that. So Krishna's position is also similar. He does not need our offerings. He's not saying that you have to make an offering. But he's saying if you make an offering with love and devotion, then I will accept it. Because you're showing, and you're doing an expression of love, and I accept that love. But when he accepts it, it's because he is complete. He's complete in itself, despite the fact that he accepts it and he eats it. The apple that we might have offered to him still remains complete. That only he can do, not us. If we accept and we eat, the thing is finished. But because Krishna is the source of everything, he would accept, but still it will remain incomplete in front of us. And there is a reason why that happens also. And we'll look at into the next verse. Right? All these things may look very fanatic in an aspect of we're talking about love and something, but there's an aspect of science behind it also. That is what we will try and understand. So when Krishna is saying that I accept 4 things, he says, 4 things as in 4 categories. He's saying I will accept with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water. These are things in any combinations of food items. When you use these as ingredients into food, we can offer it to Krishna. Anything which does not fall under these 4 categories cannot be offered. Right? So let's go to the next verse. For those who have it on the phone, the 27. The verse says, and this is very important, and I'll read the purport also, the very beautiful purport that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Whatever you do, starts with whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So first he says is whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, whatever you offer or give to somebody else, or whatever austerities, the tapasya that you perform, the difficulties that you undergo, do all of that for me, is what Krishna is saying. Let's look at the purport and then we'll discuss this, please. I would encourage participation because that helps us to understand completely, right? So purport Srila Prabhupada gives, thus it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for the maintenance of his body and soul together. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remittances of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. And this is called archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in futuring the Krishna consciousness movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditation on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra around his beats, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi and the sustenance by the 6th chapter of, this is substantiated by the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So the Lord is saying over here very clearly, right? And then the next verse is going to very clearly explain the aspect, the full circle is going to get completed. So first Krishna is saying, I will accept what you give me. Whatever you are offering. Then now he is saying very clearly that whatever you do and whatever you eat, we'll talk about these 2 things first. Whatever you eat, you first offer it to me and you offer it for me. What does that mean? That means that we are supposed to, based on this verse, we are supposed to be giving Krishna first what we have to eat. Offering it to him first, and the remittances of it in terms of prasad is what we are supposed to be accepting. So when you are making an offering to Krishna, which means that anytime I pick a piece of apple that I want to eat this, I say, Lord, you have it first, and then I will have whatever is remaining for me. That's the attitude. Why is this attitude coming into the picture? It's also what we will talk about in a minute. But let's first discuss this. If what we are supposed to be eating, it has to be first offered to Krishna, and Krishna in the previous verse says the 4 categories that can be offered to him, what does that imply as to what can we eat? Anybody? The 4 things were water, fruit, flour, and vegetable items. Right? So when Krishna is saying you have to first offer to me before you eat yourself, what is that we are supposed to be eating? From the same 4 items, patram, pushpam, phalam, and toyam. So basically, in a sense, Krishna is giving us a diet plan. Or what in this form of human body are we supposed to do? Because Bhagavad Gita is nothing else but a user manual for our body. So that should rest any debate that we might have with respect to what are we allowed to eat and what are we not allowed to eat. Right? So any fruits, any vegetables, any water, any milk products, any of these things is basically under that category of patram, pushpam, phalam, and toyam, and that is what we can offer to Krishna, and he says you have to offer it to him before we eat, so that is what we can eat. Right? Bhagavad Gita is a very scientific book. If we look at it very nicely in detail, then we can understand every aspect of the connection between the verses and fully understand it. This is where now let's talk about the next verse real quick, and then we'll discuss the whole thing together. Right? In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So why do we offer to Krishna? Coming back from the previous verse, and Krishna is saying, I will accept with love and devotion. Why is he saying, I will accept it? Because he is giving us an opportunity to offer to him first before we eat. Because he is saying very clearly, because if we offer it to him first before we eat, then we are free from all bondages and associated auspicious and inauspicious results. And in this way we get liberated from all the sufferings that exist in the material world. Let's trace back. Are we suffering? Do we have any sorts of suffering? Anybody free from suffering? Yes, no? Maybe? Don't know? The scriptures very clearly explain us that our situation today is what is called as a conditioned state. We are in a particular position where we are conditioned, which means we are not even knowing what is fact. We don't even realize we are suffering. That's our state. Because we have kind of normalized the aspect of suffering by saying this is part of life. Accept it. We cannot complain because the society will say, what kind of a cribbing baby are you? But what is this suffering that the scriptures talk to us about? On the first level, there is always threefold miseries that we face. Do we know what that is? Has anybody heard of that before? Threefold miseries. Adi-Devik, Adhyatmic, and Adibhautik. The scriptures talks about these things. Sufferings and miseries inflicted to us by others. That's first category. The second is the category which is being inflicted to us by the gods, the demigods, the Devi Devtas, in terms of it being too hot, too cold, the natural climatic conditions and other external factors to us. And the third is the sufferings that is caused because of our own self, our own mind, for example. I'm going to say something very bad, nasty to you for 1 minute. But I'm done. But you're going to keep thinking about it for the next 1 week and keep making yourself suffer because of it. That's the suffering because of our mind, for example. So these are these three types of sufferings that everybody goes through. Right? We might try and learn to ignore, but the fact is these happen. But at the very root level of it, what Krishna is trying to indicate over here is the four sufferings which comes in the ways of birth, old age, disease and death. Janma, Maran, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, old age, disease and death. Does anybody want death? No, but it will come. Does anybody want to become old? No, but that will come. But does anybody want to become diseased in any form? Even a small blocked nose makes us so much troubled. Forget about bigger diseases that exist to trouble us even more. Nobody wants that. But we get it. These are the sufferings that exist in the material world. It is because we are in this material world. And to get out of it, the only reason why we are getting all of these different sufferings is because of the fact that we are performing actions. Actions are karmas. And the reaction to that action will always be there. If we perform a certain action which is favorable, we get some kind of favorable result. But that's illusion. I'll come to that in a second. If we are performing an action which is negative, we will get a negative response to that. Then there is a third category, which is why Krishna is giving this. So, when we say that, okay, I'm going to go and hurt somebody, what is the opposite reaction to that? I'm going to get hurt. Right? Now let's demist something over here which is very important. When we go to the chapter which talks about three modes of material nature, it's very clearly mentioned over there. All the good things that we do, right? We say good things leads to good results, right? If I'm a person who's doing work in order to feed hungry people, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good thing? Everybody agrees? If I'm feeding hungry people, what is the opposite of that? What is the reaction? No. So when I did bad to somebody, bad happened to me. When I'm feeding a hungry person, what is going to happen now? We will be fed when we are hungry. If I am feeding a hungry person, the reaction of that is somebody will feed me when I am hungry. Agreed? That's equal and opposite reaction in a sense. That's what the scriptures talk about. But here's the catch. In all of these actions, when it is performed not for Krishna, without understanding of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, that is why this is confidential knowledge, because we don't realize this. When we said a very simple thing, I am feeding a hungry person and I will be fed when I am hungry, there's a star, terms and conditions, which means I will be hungry and in need of food that I will not be able to satisfy myself with. Do we see how the karmas are actually binding us? We did something good, but it led us into a situation where we will be hungry, we will not have money to buy something, and we will be suffering because of it. And then some kind person is going to come and feed us in order to nullify the action that we did before. Did we fall in our own trap? So what is the catch? The scriptures talks about karma and vikarma. Karma is the action that we are performing as per the scriptures, which means don't hurt somebody, feed the hungry person. There's all karma kanda section in the Vedas that talk about it. Vikarma is any action performed against the scriptures. If the scripture says don't hurt somebody and you hurt, that is vikarma. Positive action and a negative action. But both of them lead to a result, and we have to go through this cycle of birth, old age, disease and death in order to get the result of our actions that we had performed. So what is the catch here? The catch is what Krishna is trying to explain here. Is do things for me. Okay? Which is what comes to the category of akarma. Let me read this verse again. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. When we are free from the results of our work, only then the cycle of birth, old age, disease and death will be finished. Otherwise, we always have something in our account for which we have to come back to nullify that account. Positive or negative or whatever it is. Till when the balance is not zero, we will be here. Even if you are doing good, even if you are doing bad. And the only catch to that is till when we don't do things for Krishna, till then we are not going back. Till when the account cannot be zero. Okay? Let's talk about the eating again. And in that context, let's understand this. I said, Krishna is saying you can offer me patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, those 4 categories of food, and you should be eating what you offer to me. Now by that, the way we interpret it is, be vegetarian. Don't eat meat. Okay, fair. But that's the catch here. Even if, so one is, when we are eating meat, we are clearly putting ourselves into the cycle of action and reaction where we will be eaten by somebody else. But even plants have life in it. And that's a very common argument that comes in is, when you're telling me not to eat animals and you're eating plants, what's the difference? Both of them are living entities. And the answer is yes. It's just a difference of the extent of crime. Both of them are crime. So what are we supposed to do? Not eat anything? Because even eating vegetables would mean we are getting the reactions of eating vegetables. The confidential knowledge has been revealed, that has been revealed here in the chapter 9, is the fact that we are supposed to be offering first to Krishna and then eating the remittances. Then there is no reaction at all. That is why when we eat only prasad. We don't eat outside. We don't eat anywhere else where we will be associated with the karmic related to that cooking of the food itself. Very simply, we can go to a restaurant and eat. I'm eating vegetarian, no problem. But if, say for example, now this is how karma really binds us. We don't understand that gravity of the situation of binding up is I'm going to a restaurant eating a vegetarian meal. I paid for it. I did not do anything wrong. But the restaurant owner was cheating. He had labor out there at the back whom he was not paying, was troubling them, torturing them in some ways. Because you paid money which enabled the owner to be able to do that, you're associated with that karma. We cannot escape it. That is why we offer to Krishna first. Whatever was done, Krishna was done for you. And so, he does not give any of the reactions to us in that perspective. Let's take an example. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? There was killing happening. Killing was happening from both the sides. But there was Krishna on one side and there was no Krishna on the other side. There is no reaction to Arjuna for that fighting that he did, for the killing that he did, because he did it on the instruction of Krishna. If you don't understand this aspect of Krishna coming into the picture of a battlefield of Kurukshetra, let's take it in a different sense. Two different people with a gun. Both of them fire. Both of them kill somebody. One is getting a medal, the other is getting a life sentence. What's the difference? Any guess? Two people with guns shoot, kill two people. One gets a medal, the other gets life sentence. What's the difference? Depends on who he killed. That's a good answer. Think a little bit more. If one was shooting somebody else with the intent to rob them, versus the other one is a police officer who is trying to kill in order to defend the law and is abiding by the law and the procedures and has averted a certain calamity or a difficult situation for citizens, he will be given a medal. What's the catch? The catch is acting as per the authority, as per the rules. Same thing. Now when we eat, if we are eating as per the rules, as per the authority's instructions, or if we are working as per the rules, as per the instructions of the authority, we are fine. There is no karmic reaction. It's all akarma, like Arjuna's case. However, if we are doing the same thing on our own whimsical way of doing things, by our own interpretation of what is right and wrong, without referring to the scriptures itself, then we are subjected to reactions. And then we are bewildered, and it's for everybody of us, then we are bewildered. What did I do wrong because of which things are going wrong with me? This is the wrong. Every step that we took, every bite that we took without doing it for Krishna was the wrong, because of which we are getting reactions. Now let me ask a very simple question, right? At the moment, when you are talking about personalities such as Arjuna, or for that matter even Bhishma Pitama, who was fighting in the battlefield of Kurukshetra against Krishna, but only to please Krishna based on his arrangements in the sense, in all of these aspects, Krishna was there personally to tell them what to do and what not to do. What about us? How do we know? And know definitively in every action of ours what is right, what is wrong, what is that we should do and what we should not be doing. How do we know that? Any guess? Anybody? Do we know how a GPS works? Does anybody know? Anybody from that background of engineering or similar techno geeky guy? Okay. GPS is global positioning system. Basically, there are 3 sets of satellite that are needed minimum in order to calculate your X, Y, and Z coordinates to pinpoint exactly where you are. 3 guiding satellites. Same concept exists for us also. We have 3 direction giving principles or factors where giving directions to us we can always refer in terms of confusion. That's Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Shastra is the scriptures, what we are reading, trying to read right now. The reason why we read this is because it gives us the principles very nicely. Through the medium of a guru, now when we are reading this and trying to understand it, am I understanding it correctly or not? We go and question a guru saying, is this how it means that you are supposed to be acting? You say, no, you're doing it wrong. But a guru cannot be there always with you, and you're supposed to be looking at others of how are they doing it. To learn by association is where the third guiding principle comes, is the sadhus, the devotees, the association that we have, the reason why we come to the temple. Any holy place, any temple by itself is insignificant. It is only the presence of saintly people that makes that place a significance, because over there we can go and associate with these saintly people to learn from them. Otherwise, just by going to all of these holy places makes no difference to our life. It is only the association. There's a very nice verse that comes in, it says, Labha matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoye. Right? Labha matra means, labha is the unit of time, as Srimad Bhagavatam would explain that. It's much smaller than even a second. Labha is of the orders of the amount of time it will take us to pierce a needle through a leaf. That's very tiny. Even that tiny amount of time spent with a sadhu, like looking at them and trying to learn from them, and again, they have to be pure and properly following the scriptures themselves also. That's why the other 2 principles exist. But even that small moment of association with somebody who's pure enough in that perspective And Sarva Siddhiho, you get everything. All that can be achieved is achieved through that. And there are very good examples of that, both from the scriptures and what we have seen in real world also. There are very nice examples to help us understand that, right? So 3 principles we said: Guru, Shastra, Sadhu is what will help us. That Shastra is available to us to take home and start reading as a first step. Coming to the temple, attending the programs is the second step of getting the second guidelines from the sadhus. Guru will be revealed to you in the due course of time when the true desire comes in your heart. So in this way, we can understand how to work for Krishna. Right? Let's take an example now. Okay, let's demystify one more thing. When we are saying we have to do something for Krishna or for God, and we have to do everything for Him, for His pleasure, and so on and so forth, we come to the territory of where we have these extremist groups coming in. And it exists from every different corner. Who would start talking about, I have to protect the religion and so I'm going to do anything. Or in the name of religion, trying to come up with certain aspect of thinking and go ahead and again do things which are unlawful. So, how is that not doing things for God or Krishna? How are they wrong? Based on the scripture, he says, do it for me. So I'm going to kill you for Krishna. And I'm okay with that. How do we correct that? How do we put boundaries to that? How do we understand what is right and what is wrong now? Any guess? We just talked about some principle. Anybody? What were the 3 things that we look at? The guiding principles? Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. If I am trying to say that I am going to do a certain thing for Krishna, I have to see what the Shastras say about how to do that. I have to inquire from a guru, a bona fide guru, and I have to see how the other sadhus are doing it. If these 3 things don't match and confirm my action, then I'm doing it wrong. So there is the concept of Kshatriyas that has been mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, which is for protection based on religious principles only. Even on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? When the Pandavas decided to, and when you read the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, it's been very nicely mentioned over there, right? Even this war that was happening, and the Pandavas are fighting the Kauravas, how do we justify that? Oh, just because I did not get what I want, I'm going to do a war? That's what we are doing in these days. But the scriptures very clearly give a very guiding principle. Anybody, there are 6 different type of offenses or injust done, which entails that you can kill that person. Again, we in today's modern world are supposed to be abiding by the laws of the country or of the land also, but it does not mean we'll just go and start killing people. But the principle is clear, right? That principle is such as anybody who burns somebody's house. Did Kauravas burn the house of the Pandavas? The lakh. Anybody who poisons. And there are similarly 4 other different things, and all of them applies to the Kauravas. They did it. And anybody who kidnaps somebody's wife. Any such thing, the scriptures would say that. And then in that case, as I said, from a guru's perspective, Arjuna's guru was Krishna, and he validated that understanding. Am I understanding it correctly or not? If we read the Bhagavad Gita very clearly, he gives 5 different arguments as to why he does not want to fight. He's very logically arguing things the way we do it. And Krishna, one by one, starting from chapter 2 onwards, will break and cut down all of those arguments one by one. Having cut down all of that, now he's coming and talking about the most confidential knowledge is what is that is the guiding principle, what is that you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing things for me. Now I'm going to ask a very practical question. And please feel free to give your answers. I would really love to hear that. Now that we are talking about doing things for Krishna practically, one example we have talked about, let's see if you are able to replay that to me or not. In our day-to-day activities, where we are either studying or working or having a family or whatever else we are doing, right? How is that we can do things for Krishna? What does it mean to do Krishna? What are the examples? Can you share some examples of what is that you are doing for Krishna? That you are able to do outside the temple building also? Anybody has any example of what we are doing? You can take a minute to think. Because when Krishna says, do things for me, remember me always, and he's very clearly, Srila Prabhupada is also talking about that in the purport, that one who is able to perform actions for Krishna always is clearly getting out of this material world and these sufferings associated with it. So how do we do things for Krishna always? Good point. So when you're doing anything, be conscious about it, like listening to Kirtan while doing cooking, for example. That's a very good example. Anybody else having any other thoughts? How in our day-to-day life, while maintaining the body in terms of all the things that we have supposed to be doing as a student studying, as an employee of somewhere working, as a family member doing things for your family, doing all of those responsibilities but still doing everything for Krishna, how can we do that? This is the training that we get from our Guru. Make a guess. One more. Okay, let me help out. If you're studying, why are you studying? What's that you're trying to gain out of it? Knowledge. How are you going to use that knowledge? Practically to earn money. Absolutely perfect, right? What do we do with that money? To live a living, correct? Now, if you think of all the money that you have in your accounts, in your pockets right now, where are we spending that? There's some percentage of that money that we spend for food. Correct? And we just read that everything that we eat should be offered to Krishna first. So everything that we did as part of the exercise to do cooking, as part of the exercise to go and get the groceries, as part of the exercise to get the money to buy the groceries, is all become Krishna service if we are doing it with that mindset. Right? If I am saying I'm going to go and buy something because I want to cook something for Krishna, every thought associated to that activity of everything is now surrendered to Krishna. So in that way, some percentage of your day-to-day activity is now given to Krishna by just offering to Krishna. Patram pushpam phalam toya. That's it. What else? What else are we spending money on? Accommodation? Right? What do we do in that accommodation? Try and be comfortable. In weathers like this, try and stay indoors and be warm. But what are we doing inside that accommodation? Why did we get that accommodation? I want a bigger place with a swimming pool so that I can do a poolside party. Or what's the mindset? What's the consciousness? Oh, I'm going to have a nice place over here. Next to my bed, I'm going to have a light. So that before I go to bed, I'm going to do at least 5 minutes of Bhagavad Gita reading. Everything's changed. That is what it means to do things for Krishna. If the household where you have, now you're using that household in order to be able to cook for Krishna in that household and offer it to Krishna. Use that household to, when you're done with your day's activities, sit down, relax, and take a few minutes to read the scriptures. To use that household in order to be able to invite your friends in order to do these same things collectively. Now that entire money that was spent in that getting that accommodation, rental or buying, whatever you did, is all now a service of Krishna. And every effort you did in order to get the money to be able to do that is service of Krishna. What else do we spend money on? Transport, commute. Maybe we have a car, we're using fuel. Now the same thing applies. I will go to work so that I can earn money, so that I can buy something, grocery for Krishna, I can offer it to him. I'll use the same car to go to the temple. I'll use the same car to go to different places, which helps me in order to remember Krishna always. Every activity can be used with the same consciousness as you mentioned. We'll be surprised that even, as we're taking the example of Arjuna, even the act of fighting we are able to use that in Krishna. Let's take the example of Hanuman. When he went to Lanka, he burnt down that entire place out of anger. Even that anger he used in the service of the Lord. Anything and everything can be used in the service of Krishna. The only thing you need is to associate with people who are expert in knowing how to use your services and capability in service of Krishna. I like talking. I'm using that in the service of Krishna. I like teaching in this perspective. I teach kids. I do the same Bhagavad Gita classes for kids, including my own daughter. My wife likes artistic stuff, so she does a lot of temple, like the altar decorations, not in this, but in this Carbro temple. All that altar decorations, she's using all that capability of hers to use that for Krishna. Somebody likes to sing, they do kirtan for Krishna. I'm learning that, I'm learning musical instruments so that I can do kirtan for Krishna. Everything can be used. The catch is, we should understand the science behind what we talked about. For those who were not there when we were talking about, the whole science over here is what action we are performing leads to our next step. We can either perform actions which is karma or vikarma, actions which leads to positive results or negative results, and hence be caught up into having to accept that result and still continue to be in the material world suffering in order to get that result. Or we can do things for Krishna and get no reactions out of it, nullify our account and go back out of this material world where birth, old age, disease and death exists. That's the whole crux of the two verses that, actually three verses that we are looking at. And that is how very practically we can do. So now let me talk to you about something very interesting. The first week of December is when Bhagavad Gita was actually spoken. It's the Gita Jayanti time. In this moment of time, what a lot of people are doing is again using their capabilities, their relationship, their friendship, their association with people, meeting people, gifting people as a service for Krishna. How do they do that? I have my team member who's getting married very soon. I have another team member who's in great depression right now. Both of them, I gave them a Bhagavad Gita each. That's my holiday gift to people. We're giving out gifts. We can give this out as gift. This is how we can get connected to the knowledge itself and practically in every day. How much does a Bhagavad Gita cost? $15. That's all you have to do is take one for yourself and give one for another one. Two. One copy for yourself if you don't have it, and one to give it to as a friend. Any effort that you have done in order to make friends and any friendship that you have, everything is now used in the service of Krishna. Right? So I think we are at time. I can take any questions or comments. Feel free. This forum that exists is basically open for all forum. Nobody is judging you for any questions that you are putting in. Feel free to challenge me also. DEVP 06061. If somebody has that as a car, it's blocking the driveway for this person over here. If it is your car, if you can please remove it. What's the make? Hyundai, Hyundai Tucson? Okay. If somebody has that car, please help him out. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So, any questions, anything that you have heard as a challenge, or you have that challenge in your mind yourself, please let's use this forum to discuss it out. That's the service that I'm supposed to be performing over here right now, is to help answer the questions based on the scriptures itself, nothing coming from my own mind itself. Anybody, any questions, any challenge? Any practical aspect where we struggle with respect to, we have been hearing something from our parents or something, but we don't 100% agree about how to follow it or why to follow, or might have been challenged by somebody in a very simple aspect. We talked about being vegetarian and all of those things also, but anybody having any questions? Nope. Okay, then we will stop here. And this is a forum in case you want to be connected with this Tuesday Sanga programs that happens every Tuesday. Please feel free to let me know. I can help you get added to the WhatsApp group where announcements for this program keeps coming in. It happens every Tuesday at the same time, 6:30 p.m. So if you're around, please come in. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.